8:47.
You want to say we went for it? I think we would.
Go here, man.
I do got something I want to ask you about that.
You guys go to any of the,
I want to ask you.
seminars right now?
No, I don't think
No,
we had very
Oh,
many.
oh,
Really? That was nice. I went to the one on mechanics. We had someone that didn't realize the distress that. I didn't go to those, but I thought, thanks for the There's a trick to the line.
What about a witness?
You know?
What if somebody
Of course,
witnesses?
you guys have figured a lot of that out.
I mean, we haven't had anybody come forward
But could you go to them if you knew?
to the witness. We have. We've looked for people when we run them down. Well, no, I didn't really see that. No, I didn't say that.
Well, there was one that has told me numerous times that he's,
Come see me or stop up and use name.
you know, I'm sure,
We've talked to just about everybody.
across the road from there. I don't know, I'll tell you.
Okay. Return from executive session, 8:47. Okay. Have a motion? Motion to accept the resignation, Tammy Olson from a post of Secretary Treasurer, effective August 2, 2017. With her health insurance coverage is currently provided, continuing through August 31st, 2017. I'll make it as a motion.
Second. Any questions? How you vote?
Commissioner Ely.
Yes.
I vote yes. Mr. Prescott?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. The resignation is a very sad thing. It's nothing that didn't just happen today. We've actually, she informed me a couple weeks ago. And we began planning some transition. She spent a year as the treasurer of the town of Donald Township with Bess as the secretary, during which time she was learning how to do the job. And Bess came here in the township with, I don't know, 25 or 30 years worth of township secretary experience. Spent 5 years as the secretary and treasurer, 8 years earned income tax collector, 24 years as the elected tax collector of real estate taxes in Donald Township. So with deep regret that we need to take this action. Tammy give 110%, there's no question about it. And I've known Tammy for a lot of years. I was supervisor the first time when she was years ago, when she was a tax collector. I can't say that she and I always got along, but we certainly didn't let it spill over into how we did our job. And so Tammy could walk out the door on the 2nd of August and don't care about what we do the last few months of the year, but that's not the case. She's indicated that she will make herself available and be helpful in helping us make the transition, not only from her to us, but from us to the new board. She's graciously agreed to remain as an on-call advisor through December 31st. A lot of you don't know that, maybe you do know, she's also a caregiver to in-laws that are both in very, very ill condition. And she leaves here at the end of the day and needs to take care of them. And you see, she just finished half the surgery. And the second time, find out it was much worse than the first one. They had her injury. And but she's always went above and beyond anything I've asked her to do. There's times I've asked her to do things multiple times because I changed one word or one sentence or put one period in a place that maybe it was a comma. And she's always remained cheerful and did her job like she should. And because of this, I would like to make a motion to grant the severance package and the stipend to compensate her for the transition that will take place between the 2nd of August through December 31st, and pay her an amount of $6,000 as severance and stipend. And I'll make it as a motion.
Second. Any questions? How do you vote?
Mr. Ely?
Yes.
I vote yes. Mr. Prescott?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
You know, okay, the next thing that's on my list of motions is a motion to name a township secretary treasurer to serve until January, what's the date again?
I think it's the 3rd. Whenever reorganization, up to the day of reorganization.
To the day of reorganization in 2018. And then fill the blockers. Motion, second. You need a motion?
No, we need a motion.
You need a motion to appoint.
Okay. Well, I'll move to appoint Doug to that position.
I'll second it. Any questions? JD?
Don't you already have a pretty full plate with a full-time job, supervisor, planning commission, and now secretary treasurer? I mean, you had said a couple meetings ago you got some health issues. Stress is the worst thing for your health. So I would hate to see you take on another role and other duties and it cause you more stress and health issues.
I appreciate your concern for me, JD. Thank you.
How many jobs can you hold in the township? Without it being
Answer that, Gary?
without a conflict or without, I mean, can you hold?
Well, a supervisor can hold a position. If it's compensated, the compensation has to be approved by the auditors or set by the auditors. That's the only restriction. And I think the designation of secretary treasurer is more for
Signing-
legal
pur-
purposes.
purpose
to
of
be able-
signing documents.
Signing documents. I don't believe you're going to be putting time in the office as a replacement to Tammy. That's not my understanding.
Not at all.
And there's no extra, it's not an extra, there's not pay involved with that then.
If the auditors choose to compensate him, there will be. But the auditors have to decide that. Am I right, Gary?
They have to decide, and I guess it's also going to depend on how much time he does put in. I mean, that's for a later date.
JD?
What about, so what you're saying is just the executive position that you're taking on, is that correct?
That's the intention, yes.
What about having somebdy to, once Tammy does leave,
That's a different motion.
Okay, that's yet to come.
Yes.
Tammy?
I just didn't know, will Sharon then be doing most of the work?
That's a different motion. We'll give you an opportunity.
Any other questions? How you vote?
Mr. Ely,
Yes.
I will abstain. And Mr. Prescott.
Yes.
The motion carries. Okay, and we will contact the auditor, John, and you guys will need to make a decision on compensation if there would be any. I'm not planning on there being any time, so it shouldn't be any compensation. The auditor will have to.
I think they
Yeah,
already
send,
did that.
can you send something, or we need to send you an email with our decision?
Yeah, well, you sent it to the secretary's address.
All right.
Yeah.
I think they already did that, if they were, they're already from
They may have.
Yeah, you guys said the supervisors,
Yeah,
if they're to do any,
Right, we've already set that, we
Yes.
set that in January.
Yes.
Okay, well then that you can,
That should be
we can pull that up.
in effect, yeah, you should have
Right.
minutes from that.
Um,
1 December.
Okay, we need a motion to approve the necessary changes with the treasurer's bond, make appropriate changes at the banks regarding numbers of signatures and things like that, which we need at least two out of three.
We're gonna reduce that to 2.
I think, I would suggest that two of three supervisors need to sign any disbursement. Would be my recommendation. And I will make it as a motion.
Well, do you understand that? Presently, Tammy can sign, and it
Right.
requires another supervisor.
Two,
So you need 3 signatures?
three signatures.
Tammy and 2.
Right,
Yeah.
and we're gonna go to, now, it'll be any two. Be any two, has to be 2 signatures.
All right, so that would require a change at the bank.
Yes, go back change. And a change with the treasurer's bond, because she's named on the bond.
Is that your motion?
Yes.
I'll second it.
Any questions? Go ahead, JD.
So as it stands now, Tammy and 2 supervisors, okay, right? So we're actually going backwards. To your question then, Gary, shouldn't it, they gotta change it because they're taking it from 3 to 2. Shouldn't it just stay at 3 and then all 3 gotta sign?
Right
instead
now,
of-
3 supervisors or 2 supervisors and the secretary signs.
Right, but now you're taking it
From
to
3
just
to-
2, from 3 to 2.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying, it should stay at 3. It's just, if Tammy's resigning
It would make
instead
it
of.
very difficult, JD, if Mr. Prescott was hunting in Colorado and for us to issue checks.
JD, most every township has 2 signatures on the checks. And that's a safeguard. That's a safeguard.
Any other questions? How you vote?
Mr. Ely,
Yes.
I vote yes, and Mr. Prescott.
Yes.
I don't have this one on here. Motion to speak with, I'm not doing a motion to speak, but a motion to, I guess, negotiate with Sharon, see if she were interested in more hours, to offer her up to 30 hours, up to 30 hours per week to continue clerical duties, which will include a lot of the depositing and check writing that's currently done by Tammy. That's if she so chooses, is to offer her that up to 30 hours a week If she declines, then we would have authorization to contact a temp agency to hire a person to man the office. So it's a two-part motion. One is to offer Sharon up to 30 hours per week. If that doesn't, if she's not interested, then to engage a temp agency to man the office. That's the motion.
Second.
Questions?
How many hours does she
I
work now?
I will second. Right now it's a little bit different because she's here because of Tammy's incapacity. And I don't know how many hours she's looking for. Whether she wants to work more, because there was a time she didn't want to work more hours. And we've asked her about taking on some of the other duties, and she doesn't want the other duties. So we're just trying to cover the bases in the most expedient way. So there's, I second that if you did. You second
No,
that?
you made the motion.
Okay.
Zach.
I'll second.
Zach,
I got it back.
Yeah. Hold on. Go ahead, JD.
I just question, how many hours a week is the office?
Currently?
Yeah.
It's 8 to 3:30, 5 days a week. Yeah. And we do get a lot of calls and people stop in off the street to get information, so we always try to keep somebody here even when Tammy had medical issues and so forth. We always had the office often. I mean, we very, very few times did we not have a posted schedule.
Haley. Good, Bob.
Are you gonna get bids from other temporary agencies?
We could do that. I don't know that it's not differentiating between that. Darren, you use temp agencies, right? Yeah. But you can
I can
recommend
tell you the
somebody.
one in Wheeling's cheaper than the one in Washington.
I believe it.
Any other questions?
Maybe you can give her that name, we could put on our list.
Ready for the-
Yeah. Mr. Ely,
Yes.
Mr. Prescott,
Yes.
and I vote yes, the motion carries. I have two more motions. In light of today's news regarding the building collapse, the city of Washington serves to illustrate the importance of code enforcement. I'd like to make a motion that a minimum of 8 hours a week to be devoted to the enforcement of Donegal Township ordinances by the Donegal Township Police Department. This 8 hours shall not reduce the hours of police services currently being provided. Part-time officers are to be scheduled for this 8-hour shift. This duty may be performed by a current officer or another hired to increase the current roster. Chief of Police will meet with Mark Gordon, review the current status of his open cases, and the department shall be prepared to continue with them. Can I make that as a motion?
I'll second.
Any questions?
Yeah.
Is that legal? Isn't there two sides, a judicial side and the other side? Because I remember I asked this question when I was in Buffalo Township. Or not Buffalo, Canton Township. And they said that they couldn't do it because there's something with the two, you wouldn't know what I mean when I say that. Like you can't be a police officer and enforce something that you may know, I can't, I'm just asking if it's legal.
Canton
You should
Township's
know. That's the bottom line, you should know it's legal.
I think what you're
Township.
talking, I think what you're talking about are the civil enforcements.
Right.
A lot of our ordinances
Criminal.
require, but a lot of our ordinances actually require civil enforcement. And that is something that is outside of my skill
Right.
set. Right. There are some ordinances that do have, that I can enforce. We enforced them prior to them hiring Mark Gordon. There are certain things we can do, burning ordinances, that
But
kind of
not for code for if a house is gonna fall in.
No, although we
Okay.
have worked with, on several properties with the solicitor's office for buildings that were, we can exercise authority when it is a threat to the
Condemnable.
public.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What, Darren, what you're referring to is a BCO, it's like Doug Trbogovich, who has to be licensed with labor and industry to inspect.
Right.
That's different than zoning enforcement,
well, code enforcement.
code enforcement.
Okay, I just ask him so you don't get into trouble.
Go ahead.
Okay, there was no zoning when this Mark Gordon was hired here, right? There was no,
It's
it
still
wasn't,
not zoning.
what's that?
Zoning is still not here.
Well, wasn't he the zoning officer?
No, it's code enforcement,
Code enforcement,
Code.
okay. Okay.
which is ordinance enforcement.
I can say, how can he write people citations back then when it wasn't even in here?
We've had ordinances in Nottingham Township for 200 years,
Okay, but how could,
more than 200 years.
I just don't understand his position here, that was all.
It enforced the ordinances, Jim.
Good, Bob.
I was
I-
misunderstanding.
What you're saying, what that motion's saying is that they have to put 8 hours into code enforcement. Using what happened in Washington today, I don't think any of them are qualified. They're very qualified in the police department matters, but I don't see where any of them, you're going to put anything on them that would have helped in the situation up there. Tragic situation, I'm not saying that, but I think you're opening up a can of worms that's gonna come back and bite some people.
Well, going back to Harold Porter, and ever since, police officers in Nottingham Township have enforced ordinances. That's never changed.
I'd like to point out we still do. One good example is township has a requirement for a permit to haul overweight on the road. We enforce that permit. I think where we're gonna run into problems is, as Mr. Wright pointed out, is, you know, when we get into to the engineering thing, the aspect of extra, and that's definitely something we can work through, but I do have a couple questions. How many hours did Mr. Gordon get?
Well, at the end, it was 10 hours.
10 hours a week?
That's what he was authorized for.
It was 5 in the beginning, then they increased it 5 at the last meeting.
And.
If you're gonna bring a guy out for something, you might as well give him a day.
Well, and so, yeah, but a lot of this stuff isn't gonna work, and we can discuss that, I mean, a lot of stuff isn't.
You could break it
we're
out
not gonna
how
be
you
able to
like.
just do, right, just do 8
Yeah.
hours. But the next question is, how's this gonna impact my budget? I mean, are we going to increase my line item to compensate for this, or?
You will, it'll be funded. If we have to take it out of Act 13, which.
But it
now
could
we
be
can
more than
provide
8 hours,
police
right?
Protection services from Act 13. We will fund it.
But it could turn out to be more than 8 hours if they have to go to a hearing or something, right?
It could, but, you know, that's.
So-
Many of those.
So
And
you
you'll
guys
have
are-
this, you'll have the solicitor and the advisor as well as the engineer.
No, we've worked through
Yeah.
this stuff before we had somebody that specialized in it. So, I guess my last question is, are you authorizing me to hire somebody?
That's what the motion said.
My last question.
Yeah, if you don't have anybody wanting more hours, then yeah, sure.
Well, the problem we have is with the staff we have, we're pretty much at the hours. The board likes to see employees kept at that 30-hour, below 30-hour, that 24-hour mark, and that's what we've been trying to hit.
Okay.
So to do that, we would definitely have to hire somebody.
Yeah.
How many part-time officers do you have?
Right now, you have five, yeah.
You hire a police officer with benefits.
No, it wouldn't be with benefits. It would
Well,
be-
we're, oh, you'd have to get over to.
Have a good night.
Good, Bob.
I guess I'm missing something here. 6 months ago, we sat in this room and were hammered every month with the fact that we were probably gonna have to lay somebody off in the road crew because we didn't have enough money. the money that has been spent in the last 2 meetings, now you're putting another 8 hours, that's another man. I don't understand. Either the information that we were given at the beginning of the year was wrong, or you're taking us down a bad slope right now.
It's your opinion, Bob.
Okay, if you don't want to answer, I'm not saying to answer it, I'm just saying,
I understand what you're saying.
yeah, something's wrong here. Something's wrong with the fact that we got hammered with this every month. Now, we're spending money like, like a drunken sailor, I don't know how else to put it, and looks like, yeah, Fisher, you were a sailor.
And call for a motion. Call for a vote, I mean.
How you vote?
Mr. Ely?
Yes.
Mr. Prescott?
Yes.
I vote yes, motion carries. Last motion I have, a motion to abolish supervisor departmental assignments. Effective this date and time, all township departments shall report to the Board of Supervisors. Any and all matters requiring administrative approval or notification shall be submitted to at least 2 supervisors, with such communication being directly with each supervisor. I think that's a motion.
Could you repeat that, please?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Motion to abolish supervisor departmental assignments. Effective this date and time, all township departments shall report to the Board of Supervisors. Any and all matters requiring administrative approval or notification shall be submitted to at least 2 supervisors, with such communication being directly with each supervisor.
That's your motion.
Yes.
No second. I'll second. Any questions? Good, JD.
So, just to be clear, you're now
You want me to read it
undoing,
again?
what's that?
You want me to read it again?
No,
Okay.
I just want to clarify or make sure I got this straight. You were undoing what you did at the beginning of the year in January at the reorganization meeting that you put in motion, and then you again repeated and ratified, what was that, like 2 meetings ago, roughly?
Yes.
That we said you didn't need to do that because you already did it, but you wanted to ratify and repeat and reiterate. So now you're undoing that. Is that my understanding?
Your understanding is correct.
And what is the reason for that?
To open lines of communication that are apparently closed.
Any other questions? How you vote?
Mr. Ely?
Yes.
Mr. Prescott?
No.
I vote yes. Motion carries. One last notification, doesn't require a motion because I don't have anything in writing, is that we have received a verbal resignation from the building code officer, effective 12/31, reorganization meeting, yes. Okay.
Wait, what was that last one again?
I said the BCO, or building code officer, resigned, give us a verbal resignation that he will be resigning as of the end of the year.
Is that Turbovish?
Thanks for voting. Actually, it'll be North Urbane Township.
Following road bonding escrow money needs to be released, total of $80,500. The Noon Lumber, 3,000, Arrow Communications, 4,000, Tri-County, 8,000, Range, 44,500, Mark West, 14,000, Tunnel Ridge, 6,000, Donegal Township General Fund, 1,000 from Black's Logging to cover repairs on Buck Run Crane. This company was never issued a permit because the application was never complete. Motion to release road escrow funds is presented.
So moved.
I'll second.
How you vote?
Mr. Ely?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Prescott?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Financial report. Motion to approve the treasury report as presented.
So moved.
Second.
How you vote?
Mr. Ely?
Yes.
I vote yes. Mr. Prescott?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Old business, previous tabled items. J.D. Morton was issued a building permit on May 13, 2016. He changed his mind about the contractor prior to the permit expiring and has requested a refund of $1,016. North Bain, $422, Donegal, $590, and Estate, $4. Motion to refund J.D. Martin's permit, or money.
JD, do you have a suggested motion? Do you want us to continue the table?
No, as I stated then, I question the fact, A, that I even needed one. If somebody's gonna put a new roof on their house, they have to get a building permit, or if they're gonna remodel, or, I mean, it's an existing house on the tax roll that I paid taxes on, had a house fire, and it's an added, using me for an example, but John Doe, if that happens, you got a tragedy, you got a loss, and then we're adding to it by, you know, imposing another fee on top of it. And I'm under the understanding that the township's not allowed to make money on that, and question the fact of the legitimacy of the necessity of the building permit to begin with, and the legitimacy of the amount. And as I told Tammy, I was never inspected, I've never met Doug Trubovich. He never came out and looked at him. So I understand the state fee's a state fee, it's for whatever.
Right.
It is what it is, but.
Well, then I'll move that we refund $590 as paid to Donegal Township and send a letter of request to North Bain that they consider refunding yours. And that would be the motion I would offer.